Hi guys, Dave Finson here, video for Jesus. So one of the things that I'm always thinking of is what is real religion? What is true religion? I know we don't like the word religion these days. We always say religion is man trying to work to God, and Christianity is God, loving us and working with us. And I think that unfortunately that's become true of the modern world. But the word religion doesn't have those kind of that kind of beginning and that kind of thought. Even 100 years ago, the word religion was a good word, just like the word pious. The word religion was true religion. As the Puritans used to say, true religion is communion with God. What's wrong with that? So true religion is, and then I have one here from Finney also on religion. And then Charles Finney says, religion is obedience to God, the voluntary submission of the soul to the will of God. Neither does religion consist of going to meetings or reading the Bible or doing these things, or praying or any other what we commonly think of as religious duties. The very phrase religious duties ought to be stricken out of the vocabulary of the convert. They should be made to know that these acts are not religion. So you can do a lot of things, and those are all good things. I pray every day. I have gatherings. I have Bible studies. I read my Bible every day. I try to do these things so I can follow Jesus. But true religion is obedience to God. True religion is knowing God. Jesus says, "I never knew you. Get away from me. I never knew you." So you have to know God, and in order to know God, you have to sort of like ask Him who He is. You have to read the Scripture, and then you have to learn who He is, right? And then obey. So it's all about love, trust, and obey. Love, trust, and obey. That's what it's all about, guys. It's really simple. So I'm glad the Lord showed me that we need to be simple. Simple. I wrote these books called the Simply Jesus, Simply Prayer, Simply Church. And the simplicity of the whole thing is love the Lord thy God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love everyone. Love your neighbor. Love your enemies. Your heart should be for others a lot more than it is for yourself, and that's really impossible without this new self that has been planted in my heart. It's been planted in your heart when you become a Christian, and then it begins to grow, but it only grows as you obey. So obedience is the key. And so people who think so a lot of people are saved. Just a sec, I got one more in here. Just a sec. Okay, so once again, Charles Finney, he's talking about converts again. I'm going to use the whole converts part of this book I'm reading from Finney in a discipleship, and I'm going to share most of it with you guys. I'm going to share it with you guys here on this Video for Jesus channel. It says, it says, unfortunately, the converts are not taught to do anything for Jesus. The only change is that they go to church more often, and there they get fed, right? They go to church and then they start going to fellowships and different things, maybe men's Bible. So they're being fed, and they're also have fellowship with other believers here and there. And maybe they go to conferences. I'm not a big fan of conferences. I do realize that we have to be organized to do things, but I think many times conferences, especially in the Philippines where people can't afford them, is it's got you got the ladder on the wrong wall again, brother. We should be making disciples of Jesus instead of going to conferences. We should be we should be about the business of. You know what the conference reminds me of? This is a quick aside, but it's important. The conference reminds me of, I think it was Peter. Was it Peter and somebody were in prison, and the disciples were in a room praying for him to be released. And the angel goes in, releases him from prison, and he walks up to the door, knocks on the door, and I forgot her name, Rhoda or something, the servant girl, or just the girl that lived there. I don't know if she was a servant girl, but she goes and answers the door, and it's Peter, and she goes and tells him, "Hey, Peter's here." And they go, "Shut up! We're praying for Peter to be released." That's it. That's what a conference is. We're all going to get together. We're going to do this thing that we should just be doing. You don't need to go to a class to learn what your gifts are. You don't need to go to a class to know how to serve God. I mean, you need to be taught, right? So I'm teaching, so I guess you can go to a class. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that we need to be about the business, the action that God's called us to do. And no one tells us there's an action. They just tell us to grow in the grace and knowledge of the Lord. And so what is the purpose of the church? Well, in Ephesians, it says that all the Christians are given gifts. so they can build up other people in the body. They can love other people, build them up. They list five, but there's more than five. So they can lift up the people in the body. And then why? So those people in the body can go out and do the ministry. The ministry happens in the world, doesn't happen in the building. There's ministry happening in the building, right? But the purpose of that ministry is so that we will have some action in our lives. Jesus died on the cross to bring the world to Christ, not so you can go sit in a church. You can go sit in a church. Understand me. But the purpose of your life is not to sit in a church. That's just something you do on Sundays or Saturdays, or maybe Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Or maybe you just go into someone's house and they have gatherings. That's good too. But the purpose of our life is to follow Jesus and to follow him as an action. God bless you guys. Ta-ta for now.